Welcome to the Positive Future for Health podcast. And tonight's guest, I'm delighted to say is Gill Bennett. And Gill is a nurse. So I am thrilled that she's into natural things and open to natural ways. She is an active nurse. So where did we both meet was quite recently at the CNM, which is the Complementary Natural Health um, Health something. I can't remember. What's that? Do you remember it,
The
Jules?
College for Natural Medicine.
That's the one. Thank you.
That's all
And
right.
it was brilliant. I thought it was an absolutely perfect venue for everything natural and health and healing, which was absolutely wonderful. And Jill was exhibiting, and you're going to hear all about what she was exhibiting about right next to me. So we had a lovely chat, and I thought, I've got to come on the podcast, tell everyone about it. So Jill, who are you? Why do you do what you do?
Okay, so thank you, Theo. I'm really um, feel really privileged to be part of this, and as you said, we met at the College of Natural Medicine. I'm a nurse, and I've been qualified for nearly 50 years now, and I was taught, along with my colleagues, that a patient is not a patient. A patient is an individual that has got something wrong with them, and that one thing that's wrong with them is not just an individual thing. It's part of the whole person, and that care is about looking after people in the whole, including their emotional needs and as well as their medical needs. And I've kept that principle going through all of my career. And actually, if you look at people as individuals and you include them in the discussions and in the care, they know their own bodies, they know what's going wrong with them. If you give them some choices and some responsibility, then positivity will emit from them, and it's easier, to be honest, to treat people. And so I've tried to continue that throughout my career. I haven't stayed just nursing. I was fortunate enough to be sort of recognised as somebody who is a bit outspoken about what I see as good care, and have
Yeah.
been throughout my career been privileged to work with people who've seen a potential and given me the opportunities to take risks with patients, with them in control. And that started in occupational health. So I did 14 years in occupational health. I was the first female nurse to work on night shifts in Ford at 22, when they only took people on at 25 years and older. And throughout my career, I've been doing quite a lot of firsts, being one of them being the first nurse director in an ambulance trust. And that's why all ambulance trusts now have to have a nurse on the board, because it was about widening the care that was given to people at the very first stage of any sort of emergency call, and for the ambulance trust to recognise that care is not just that first 15 minutes and you can forget about the rest. It is about what they do in that first 15 minutes can make a huge difference to the person's rest of their life and how they treat them.
So
So
really the first 15 minutes, isn't it, of you're in shock and horror or you're desperately needing help at that moment. So that's the first point of contact, isn't it? That some lovely ambulance people come around and so professional and sort you out and it's
mm,
it it's I can see how that's the first port of call, isn't it? That we experience the hospital.
absolutely, and things have changed over the years. Ambulance services used to be called to sort of life-threatening road traffic accidents, because of the safety now built into cars and health and safety in factories and all of those sorts of things, the calls now are going, people are going to older people who have fallen, strokes, those long-term conditions that actually should be being managed better before the call. People should be being kept well when they're not, and we'll get onto that in a minute.
Right.
But it was about trying to help them see that actually, again, going back to that first 15 minutes, if you approach people in a different way, you can change the outcome for them. So that was the
Mm.
ambulance. I was fortunate. I was given quite a lot of leeway in the trust that I worked in, but we got to a point where actually performance around getting just anybody to somebody within the 8 minutes or the 20 minutes overrid what was wrong with someone and their clinical need. And at that point, I couldn't sign up to that any longer. So I left them to do that and took my pension early and invested my pension into the company I've got, Patients to People, with the whole emphasis on holistic care, giving people back independence and supporting them to have the best life they can, with them making the choices. And
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
so that's so so I've had the principle of looking at people as a whole, but I was privileged enough, because of Patients to People, to be asked to go across to China and to work with the Chinese around elder care. And also, while I was there, I got to know more about and learnt from them around traditional Chinese medicine. So that fitted in really nicely
Oh,
around looking at people and solutions in a different way that suited more of their lifestyle, their beliefs, their culture. And
it's a very different approach, isn't it? Because I was just talking recently that, healing is a holistic activity thing. It's holistic. You don't just have a broken arm, but it's also, how did it happen? And are you eating well? And are you stressed? And how did that happen? And your emotional state, and can you work? It's a whole package of an experience, and that's what Eastern medicine's all about. So, Jill, did you then was it an experience of dealing with, or were you like an observer, or did you do studies over there in China?
no, we were teaching nurses about dementia, how to recognise dementia, to support people with dementia and frailty, etc., in a physical way, and they were helping us learn about the cultural things, and we shared information around, in particular, nutrition and hydration. And in Patients to People, we use the 5 moments of infection control that the Department of Health had come up. We call it the P2P 5 moments, and for every single person, the first three of those is nutrition, hydration, and mobility. Doesn't matter what's wrong with you, if you don't get those three things right, then you can forget about the other two, basically.
The basic sort
And
of core functions that we need, isn't it?
absolutely. And the real um eye opener for me in China was that in Nanjing, in the hospitals that we were working with, they had sat side by side traditional Chinese medicine approach and Western medicine, and where it was most appropriate and the it suited the individual, the Western medicine was used, and where it was most appropriate, the traditional Chinese medicine was used.
It's
And
fantastic.
so the two
Fantastic.
things could work together. And to be honest, although I'd always thought like that, I'd always, gone for the natural remedies around skin and that, from my mum and my nan and all of those things, healthy eating. I hadn't really thought about it in a structured way as they were doing it. When I came back, because and I had two bereavements straight after each other, and I had a really good support mechanism around me, but I was throwing myself into work, and I linked into a group of wonderful people who are spiritual and psychic, and use all sorts of healing and crystal healing and shamanic medicines and all sorts of things. And I have told them I'm going to talk about them. And not only did they save me, because they did, along with my family and my other support, but they have taught me so much about those things, and help me open up those skills within me and the confidence to do it, to actually work with people spiritually as well. Because I remember on my very first ward as a new student nurse, there were two ladies who were both diagnosed with bowel cancer on the same day. There was one lady who was 82, and they said, there is nothing we can do for you. So she said, fine, I'm going home. She said, I'm going to enjoy my life, she said. There was another lady who was 51, and that lady was the first lady I cared for, my first person who died on Christmas Day. And then a year later, I saw that 80-year-old who'd gone home saying, this is not happening to me. Thanks very much. I'm going to enjoy my life. I'm going to eat well. And that's what. And I saw, and it clicked in my head straight away, the difference between this lady who was positive and this lady who'd been told that she was going to die and her life was going to be around working up to the day she died, as opposed to living her life till the day she died. And so that experience has come back to me, and working with the spiritual group, they having the experience of traditional Chinese medicine, then working with somebody called Annie Barr, who is the world's expert in vitamin B12 and vaccine injured people. I've been able to join all of these things together almost like a jigsaw. And I feel like if we all join together, we have a picnic basket of goodies that we can call upon depending on the needs of the person that we're working with, in a positive way,
Amazing.
and not
Totally
with a
love it.
label. And it's exactly, and when I met you, I felt that straight away. The so many problems that people have got at the moment are around pain management, and they are around the side effects of medication or misdiagnosis.
It
and
is. I mean, yeah.
and so it's about trying to draw on all of these things and the challenges that we have all got in working differently with trying to support people through an environment of health that on a daily basis is getting more medicalized, is ruled by pharma and the money. And now, indeed, it's going to be even worse because it's AI that's going to be telling us all what's wrong with us and what we're going to do, and taking the control completely away from the individual.
Let's bring the Jills into this world and your group and what you're doing. I think it's really marvelous. I wanted to ask you, when you did your training, so you've been a nurse for 50 years. 50 years.
I have, yeah,
You look old
yeah.
enough for 50 years.
Well,
You
I
don't.
well, I wasn't. I didn't. Interestingly, I never intended to be a nurse. I intended I intended to be an air stewardess,
What did you
and
have?
because I'm so old and you couldn't go into the airlines till you were 21, I didn't want to go to university, so I had to find something else to do. And so I went into nursing,
You're
and in
nursing.
all sorts of ways, I've never come out of it. So
Well, lucky for nursing, they've got you, and lucky for us. And so, when you're training, I wanted to ask. I mean, you're clearly loving the natural, holistic, spiritual world of things, and you've had full-on benefits and felt the difference of natural ways. And what a nurse! I have a friend who's a nurse as well, and she's not like you. I mean, I'm her friend, and I don't know. I think she thinks I'm a bit woo-woo or something. I don't know what, but what are nurses told about holistic thinking and holistic health? What was
well,
that?
we did, and I keep saying we because I sort of draw back to particularly my colleague Dorothy, and because she's even older than me, but we work a lot together. When we did our training, we were taught that this is an individual that needs care and kindness and respect and all of those things first. So ignore anything about treatment. You're not going to
Yeah,
get anywhere with helping to make this person well if you don't operate those things first of all. The second thing is that we had to experience what it was like with to be a patient, and literally we did. I
okay,
know what it's like to have a tube put down my nose, particularly by a student who doesn't really know what they're doing, because that's what we had to do. The next thing was, it was the whole thing was about how do you keep this person from getting any worse. So you had to keep them clean, you had to nourish them properly, you had to keep them
hydrate,
hydrated.
hydration.
Okay, you've got to move them. If they can't move, you've got to move them and keep their muscle strength up. But in addition to that, we we keep saying, "Oh yeah, we used to do that 50 years ago." Oh, someone's come up with this wonderful idea of how good honey is for wounds. Oh yeah, okay, so that's 50 years ago. We used to use honey. We used to use egg white. We used to do all of these things that are natural remedies now that
Really?
that that
Wow.
we did. You had somebody who'd got a wound that wasn't healing properly. You put honey on it. You used egg white on it. You used natural things. You kept it clean, but more importantly, you made sure that they were eating and they were drinking. And it wasn't, oh no, you can't have this because you're a diabetic. Actually, you need this for the healing. We can deal with the sugar levels a little bit high because we're watching it. We can deal with that. But the first and foremost is, if your body hasn't got food and water going in it, then actually nothing else is going to work. Everything else is going to be concentrated. That's a lot of the reason why we have so many problems with medication with older people. Once they've hit you hit 70, unfortunately you've lost 20% of the water in your body, in your tissues. So you're already 20% down. And it's like drinking concentrated orange juice. So you take a medicine and it's concentrated, unless you're taking it with 5 times more fluid than you are. I'm saying you're right because I'm nearly that age, but a younger person would. But in training now, they're not taught that because it's not sexy. It's not the bit of kit that is the latest bit of technology that you're using.
It's the basic things, isn't it? I mean, I see
Yeah,
nursing, proper nursing, like you've been trained clearly, and I heard Debbie Evans off the UK column. Do you know Debbie Evans? Have you heard of?
yeah,
And
uh-huh,
she talks like you do. She says we
yeah.
weren't taught. You were taught to sit on the bed and hold their hand and say, "Are you
Yes,
right, dear? How's the family? Now we'll get you sorted out. And have you had your bath today?" The human connection. I mean, I
it,
was
it,
in hospital. I was in hospital last year, and there's a detachment. You've got some lovely people in hospital, but you can see they're absolutely trained to the hilt, and they don't listen. They don't listen to their own instincts, their own thoughts. I mean, I had a lady lying next to me who couldn't she couldn't breathe the entire night. She was struggling to breathe and pain in her lungs, poor thing. And I went in all with my essential oils and all that. And
Mm,
I
good.
I reached past the curtain. I said, I heard her. She was suffering all night, and all she's offered was drugs. And I
Mm.
said to her, "Look, take this frankincense. It opens up the lungs. It helps you breathe." And she looked to me like I was some devil out of devilness. And she was almost like, "Nurse, help me, save me from this crazy woman." Oh my gosh! And she had her own story going on, but there was that. But they kept offering me drugs, 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 and I kept saying, "Well, what's that for?" And then, "Well, do I need it? And what's that one for?" "Oh, here's your thing for that, and here it is for that." And I said, "Well, what's that for?" "Well, I don't think I need that, and then I'm all right." And I had a bit of a laugh with my regular nurse, and the student nurse comes along with her one day, and she's like, "This is for this," and I said, "No, no, I won't be having that." And and the student nurse was like, and she said, "No, no, it's okay." She says,
Mm,
she's just not going to take that. And I thought, they dish it out like Smarties, but
they do.
they
So
don't
one,
think. And I say,
no.
"What's that for? Do I need it? Do I need
Mm,
it? I
mm.
don't. Ask
Well,
me, talk to me."
the doctors prescribed it, so you need it. No, no, you don't. I did. One of my claims to fame is turnaround in hospitals and in different health organisations, saving money. Did it? In one area in Norfolk, I went and worked with the GPs and I saved £1.7 million in just looking at what they were prescribing for older people, talking to older people and saying to them, right, do you know what these medicines are for? No. Right, so this one does this, but and it constipates you. So then you take this to stop the constipation, which gives you indigestion. Then you take this because
Oh, she's gone. Come back, Jill. Oh, in the moment of delivery. Oh, we lost the girl. Hopefully she'll come back in. She might realise Jill's such a terrific lady, isn't she great? Isn't she great? It's brilliant. And it's so nice to hear a nurse talking about like natural things and natural remedies and things, isn't it? I'm loving it. And it's like I feel like I've been a natural therapist for 30 years, and I feel like I'm a bit the weirdo, but things are changing, it seems. Here she is. Oh, she's back. There she comes.
sorry,
That's okay.
okay, sorry about that. I
We
think
can't
I'm
see you
off.
at the minute. Can you
Let
click
me.
your video? Hopefully that should bring you on. Can you click the video? Ah, there
Here
we
we
are.
go. Sorry,
Wonderful.
sorry.
Well done.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah,
then we went back
1.7
to,
million.
yeah. So then I was saying to older people, right, so what can we do around your diet? Well, I used to take syrup of figs, or I've always had a problem and I ate prunes. Well, why are you not eating prunes? Well, because they said I'm diabetic and the sugar in it. And it was like, right, okay, then let's go back to basics here. 1.7 million in 9 months. It wasn't even a year. One point,
Wow.
and then all of those people were on like next to nothing around medication. Statins, don't get me started on statins. We need
I've heard.
cholesterol for our brain, okay? And that's we talk about. So what's the cause of all this? Well, we use statistics in the wrong way. So what they do in the health service is you have your cholesterol done, And some bright spark has come up with what you do is you join your good cholesterol reading with your bad cholesterol reading, and we take an average. So if you've got really good cholesterol and high good cholesterol, then you will have a high cholesterol reading when they do the average, and they'll be wanting to give you statins. Don't get me, and then we all know what happens with statins. And it's just like vitamin B12. Vitamin B12, the measure that they use in the health service to whether or not you get prescribed vitamin B12 is they take an average of the readings of the last year in the area you're in. So it's not even national. So if in London the average reading can is quite healthy, you'd have to that would be set for there, and you'd have to be really low before you'd get prescribed any vitamin B12. Then what they do is they give you vitamin B12 tablets, or even better still, they tell you to go and buy them. And the reason that you are low on your vitamin B12 is you can't absorb it through your stomach because you're taking the indigestion tablets they're giving you. So you need it with an injection. And but they're telling everyone take the tablet, and then wondering why the vitamin B12 isn't going up, why they're still feeling tired, why every system in their body is not working properly because their vitamin B12 is wrong. And it just
And are the people listening to you? Are the patients listening to you? I mean, you're a nurse, I guess. You have nurses and doctors that you carry such air of authority. I guess we naturally listen to you.
I
Do they
I
listen to
think
you?
I think some do. We've had we've had the privilege of working with some really good GPs, but in the main they don't. That you are questioning their prescribing, and you're questioning their authority, and the pharmacists that they know best because medicine is best. Well, actually, I spent a wonderful day yesterday with Trudy and Carol, and Trudy does something called kitchen witchery, and there was all she was talking us through all the different ways of a natural medicine and mixing garlic with honey and all sorts of things, and none of these things are bad. They're natural things. They're not
Yeah,
bad for you. You're not putting a chemical into your body.
yeah.
I've had the privilege of being in Kenya and a few times, and being with the Maasai, and because they're really
Wow,
interested that I'm a nurse, and they're taking me around their gardens and showing me what they use in their medicine.
amazing,
And I think
amazing,
if
amazing.
if you're able to have the time to sit and explain things to people in a different way, and explain risk to people in a different way, then they can understand it, and you can empower them to do things differently.
I,
And
I, I wonder whether, people have this authority kind of thing about doctors and nurses that, I mean, I've got this guy along the road. He makes the honey that I buy from him. It's absolutely terrific honey in South London. But the guy is he's wobbling now and very delicate. And he says he takes all these drugs and all that and endless hospital visits. He's 80 odd. And I said to him, well, he said to me, he's taking, I don't know whether statins or something, but his skin was so delicate that all he had to do was just knock himself, just touch anything, and he bruises like crazy. And I said to him, well, have you asked to reduce it? Why do you take them? Can't you stop it? And he looked at me in shock, and he said, "No, I can't do that. I'm going to die." And that was in that kind of the brief of the conversation. But I said to him, "Don't you think your body works?" Then what about supporting your body and looking
yeah,
into but I think he's really into the doctor. Like many people, they trust them. And I wonder whether when people get delicate and poorly and they have that, they give the authority, their power away to the doctor, and then the doctor's, drugs, drugs, drugs. But then the
Mm.
poor guy's suffering, and I wonder whether patients listen to you, and it sounds like they are because you saved them 1.7. Oh, the patients are
Well,
listening to you.
yeah, I think it's about us as a community getting the opportunity to be talking to people in the first place, getting with them before they become ill, and to talk to them about what it is they need, what they think they need, and I there's two things that I talk about at the moment. I am absolutely livid that they've taken winter fuel payment away from all pensioners. Not all pensioners need the winter fuel payment to pay for their heating. Okay. But what it does, it gives them choices. So if they've got the choice, if they've always given their grandchildren £5 a week pocket money, and they got that winter fuel payment, and that helped them to be able to give the grandchildren £5 a week pocket money, when that money's taken away, they're not going to go to the grandchildren, I can't give you your £5 a week. They're going to not put their heating on. They're not going to buy the food that they would have bought. Okay. They're not going to, like I did, and fortunately can still do. I use my money to sponsor a guide dog training. So, and I'm in a position at the moment where I can still afford to do that. But when I can't afford to do it, I still want to do it, because actually, me supporting that guide dog for someone is more important to me than whether or not I've got my heating on.
You're such a
And this
beautiful
is this
soul.
is but this is that people are doing this all the time. This is what holistic healing is about. You do your healing with people in a different way, but again, it's all about their mind, what they see is important to them. And
Yeah.
we've got to get over that one size does not fit all. And we've got to get away from giving the power of veto over to individuals that think because they've got a job title that they are the expertise in the whole person. So my example for today is, apologies, I'm doing a call from a car. I have been three
Hang on, listen,
days
listen to this,
advocating.
everyone. Sorry.
Right. So I've been 3 days advocating for, and I'll be quite honest, I've been very blatant with using my job titles and everything here, because that's the only thing people listen to in this hospital. 3 days, this young woman who's given me permission to talk about her, she's 39. From November until January, she was coming to the hospital. She'd lost 5 stone in weight. She was saying that she can't keep anything down, and she'd got severe pain in her abdomen. GP was sending her to A&E because they said she needed scanning. Up till December, she'd been there 5 times and sent away, being told she got gastroenteritis. So for November through to January, she'd stopped eating because every time she had pain. Okay? One doctor then scanned her to find that she had got a tumour in her bowel, which is what's causing the pain. They then send her back to her GP for a 2-week cancer referral instead of doing it themselves. We're now in a position that last week her bowel was obstructed completely. She's lost 7 stone in weight. She's lost 80% of her muscle mass. The only way they can put her onto the operating table to sort her bowel out. She's lost all of her bowel now, all of it. The only way they can operate before this bowel becomes septic is they've got to build a nutrition up. So they've got to do it for a PIC line, which is a certain intravenous line. Okay. For 3 days, the nutrition nurse has refused to let this happen on a ward because there is only one nurse that is trained to fit this up to the PIC line. I've been here since 10 o'clock this morning. I've had the assistant director of nursing, I've had doctors, I've had everybody in the room, and they have sworn to me that they will get on a ward so that the nurses can do this. And I said, well, where's the risk assessment here? Where are the risk assessments on this one nurse being able to do it as opposed to 2 against the risk of her dying now because you're starving her? And my friend said to me, in effect, they are euthanizing her because they have the means to feed her and they're not doing it because of a protocol, because of a rule that this one person, nutritional nurse, who is supposed to be looking after her nutrition, this one person has implemented this rule that this can't happen. Literally 2 minutes before I joined the call, I had physically moved her to a ward where there are 2 nurses, and I've said when I finish the call, if I come back and the feed is not going, I'm calling the on-call director. And last night a doctor came and saw her, and this is this holistic thing, came and saw her and said to her that she is starving to death. She's starving to death. And with that, she phoned her mum, who then was trying to work out how she was going to get her 2 grandchildren, who are under 1, on the wall to see her in case she died. And these people think that this is okay. It is not okay. It is not okay. And every single person that I have met when I've been doing things differently, yourself, people at the College of Natural Medicine, Annie Barr, my circle colleagues, anybody else that I've met like that, think like I do and would do what I'm doing to advocate for that person. Every single one. And what we've got to do, I think, is we've got to spread the word and give each other confidence to say this is not right. And it's about time we handed the power back to the individuals and gave them the knowledge and the confidence to be able to stand up for themselves with us behind them, supporting them.
Beautiful, beautiful. I have to have a round of applause for that one.
No.
Amazing.
And I'm not alone. I'm just
you are absolutely fantastic as a warrior. I mean, how systematic is this? Is it like the standard kind of attitude these days? Are you
it
the
is.
oddity? It
No,
is.
so I'm the oddity in this system, and getting in this system. I'm part of this big community, and we're not the odd ones out. When you start talking to people, particularly older people, so my mum passed in this last year, and the Chinese hospital came over for a visit, and they came to visit my mum and my dad, and they said, and it was about some telemedicine, but they said, what are you doing? And my mum said, well, I grow all my own. She's 90. I grow all my own vegetables. She said, I know what's on them. She said, I eat well, we eat vegetables, we eat what we grow. We don't go out and do the takeaways and all the rest of it. She said, we do go out and we eat out, but we eat proper food. She said, we eat food that is seasonal, and that's something that Trudy touched on yesterday, seasonal. Our bodies are used to food that's seasonal. It's like dieting. If you stay on the same diet, you never lose any weight because your body accustomizes to it. So you lose the benefits. And there she was saying not at 90. She's out there. She keeps mobile. She drinks tea. She doesn't have any rubbish. She keeps herself clean, and she's enjoying life. And
Perfect.
somehow or another, we've got to get through to people that just because their view isn't the same as 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 people who want to use natural remedies, want to do things differently, then then it doesn't make them right, them wrong. The people that want to
Yeah,
do it differently wrong, and them right. We've got this thing now that everybody who's overweight is going to be called to the GP to be weighed. Well, actually, I don't know anybody that's going to lose weight just because they have to go into the GP to be weighed each week. In fact, they'll find all sorts of ways around not going in, and actually just weighing someone doesn't mean to make them lose weight. It just I can't, in my head, can't get round the rationale. All I can do is I understand that when I'm talking to you, colleagues at the College of Natural Health, Annie, my spiritual colleagues, and that makes sense to me. And so, if it makes sense to me, my responsibility, my place here now is to actually try and talk to people so it makes sense to them, so that they have some
beautiful.
choices.
It's amazing and really wonderful what you're doing. And I remember when I went over to Japan years ago, I was really pleasantly surprised. You know, I've been into natural health and healing all my life, but I went over to Japan on the plane, and as well as all the sort of go here and go there and the exits and all that, the air hostesses were going through all the points to press, so you
Wonderful.
didn't get DVT. And I thought this is great. And there was a card as well as the sick bag and all the rest of it in the front there. There was a card that's saying all the points, the basic points to press, so that you didn't get DVT and what to do and if you do and I thought amazing. And that's exactly I got the same experience you did in China that it's very hand in hand, natural and allopathic. It's hand in hand. It's in the same hospitals, in the same doctor's place. You go there and they look at your whole thing and they give you options and do you want to do more natural or allopathic? Well, this does this and that does that, and let's look at a sort of a setup that helps you the best. It's very hand in hand. It's in
Mm,
harmony. They definitely don't
yeah,
have big pharma dominating like we do over here. And
no, no.
um, there was do you know Dr. Bob Gill? Do you know him?
I've heard about, yeah, yeah, I've
he,
heard,
he
yeah,
he's a doctor
yeah,
talking just like you do
yeah.
and advocating for patients, and he's like you. He's had people that they will not see, and he pushes and shoves to get people seen properly, and people die on his watch, and he's absolutely devastated, just like
Mm,
yourself. And he made the film The Great NHS Heist. If you want to have a
yeah,
look at that one,
yeah,
look it up.
yeah,
Well worth the watch. And that big pharma, and as we saw in the last 5 years, that and the is it the MHRA? Is that the right with
yeah. MHRA, yeah, that's right.
MHRA? I mean, they are funded 83. I think it's 83% by big pharma. They're working with them.
Mm,
What hope have we
yeah.
got? So I think it's absolutely incredible what you're doing, and I feel like it's a shining light, a beacon of light in the darkness. Thank
Well,
goodness
I
you're on
think,
people's
well,
side.
I think yeah, well, I think I'm just one of the stars in the sky.
You are.
There's an organisation I work with called FlexiCare down in Gloucester, and again going back to the individual, there's one person who'd had a stroke, and they were told they couldn't care for him at home because they didn't. There wasn't a hoist that could take his weight or something, couldn't, wasn't right for him. Okay, so basically they could care for him at home, but what was going to happen was he was just going to just fade away in bed. And Jeanette, the chief exec, and her carers talked with his wife, who actually got an equestrian physiotherapist in, and they built a purpose-built standing frame for this man, and he ended up walking again.
Wow.
And that's about, it's got to be about thinking differently and being, but
Mm.
the other thing is, as I really do think it's about being, there's got to be, you've got to be courageous to do it. You've got to be able to take risks, and I so I keep going back into the hospital and saying, can I see your risk assessment for this, and can I see your risk assessment for this, and what's your contingency then for this, and talking to them in that sort of language, because we as individuals, as humans, every day from when we're children, we do risk assessments, we do dynamic risk assessments. You know, if my dad said to me I had to be in at 9 o'clock and I didn't want to come into half past 9, I had to weigh up whether the consequence of taking the risk of staying out after 9 o'clock was worth the extra half an hour. And we do, and as humans, we're doing that all the time. But we now have a society that is rule based, trusted now to decide whether I want to buy a safety car when I get to the checkout. I have to then, if I want one, go all the way back down the other end of the store to buy it. I can't decide that I actually want to have vitamin B12 injections and tell my doctor that, because if it goes on my record, I'm doing something independent that he hasn't approved. Well, actually, it's my body, it's my life. I've looked at the risks. I'm willing to take the risk in this,
Put the
and
power back to you.
it's a power thing. It is absolutely a power thing, and it's also not sexy. You know what? Eating healthy, having your cabbage, your meat and two veg, and your cabbage, and growing a bit on your allotment, and that makes no big company money. It's not sexy. I'm not using AI. You know, unfortunately, I look like this at a day of fighting with people in hospitals. You know, I haven't got an
Sorry,
avatar that
sorry,
can look like it, and
sorry, Gill.
it's not sexy, and what it does is it doesn't give you sort of the power of a label and a job description. I'm privileged that where I've been, I've had those things that I can stick on my CV. But I'm no more knowledgeable or important than my mum, who knew about what to grow, when to grow it, and how to cook it so you didn't cook it to death. And actually, she
Absolutely,
was more knowledgeable than me.
absolutely. Jill, you're absolutely a darling star. You are. And should we open it up to have questions asked? Because there's lots of chat in the chat being going on. Did you see
Oh,
anything?
I didn't pick. Sorry, I was
What
in the
about?
car, not picked it up.
Yeah, I thought maybe it'd be a bit difficult for you. Carol was saying,
Oh,
"Well done, well said, Jill." And that was early on when you first started talking. I think you're absolutely terrific, too, as well as Carol saying that. And Karen says, her dad has an ulcer on his leg, and the nurse started using honey dressings. I think it's brilliant, brilliant. So you got
yeah.
another Jill over there, Karen.
Yeah, but interestingly, they've got the idea that they've got the idea now that honey works, okay? But they impregnate it into galls. Now, what else is added into that dressing and the packaging it's in? Well, I would
Mm.
ask. I'll just throw that out there. And if Annie Barr is listening, she's no doubt jumping up and down in the corner somewhere.
Exactly. So, and Karen also says she's in dispute with her doctor regarding statins, and she won't take them.
Good
So,
on you. The only thing I would say to you is don't get in dispute with the doctor about taking it. Get your prescription and dispose of them. Because if you're going on holiday and something happens to you, if you have been prescribed statins and you're not taking them, then your insurance could be null and void. All right. So you have to be a bit smart about this. Just because you pick them up from the chemist doesn't mean that you take them.
You're so savvy. I love you. I didn't, we didn't talk about some of these things. Like, oh my gosh, what a lovely lady we've got here. And Sandy says that too. Lovely lady. Well done, Jill. Sandy says, Big Pharma won't allow it. Big uh my dad, Sally says, and my dad had a wardrobe full of meds.
Yep.
That's what happens, isn't
Mm,
it? When my dad died, he
yep.
had two big carrier bags of all
Yeah.
drugs. And I remember in the
Yeah.
last 2 or 3 years, I mean, I could see like his pupil went tiny, and I thought, what's he taking? What's he? And all his face went puffy, and he just took all the stuff, and he was like a lot of people get muddled over the timing and take this and take that Tuesday
Yeah.
and this one, and you end up with piles of pills, piles
Mm.
of,
There is a
like you said.
there is a yeah, there is a time, like you said in when you were in Japan and in China, there is a time for medication. But we need to people need to be thinking and asking the question exactly what you said. So what is this tablet for? What is it going to do? What are the side effects? Why? So will I have to take another tablet for this? So if I have to take one tablet, and I have to take the one tablet. So let's talk about, diabetes, or so you've got to take the tablet for diabetes. What natural thing can you do for any of the other things that you'll be taking to avoid the side effect of that tablet? So, okay, it's like a contract. I'll do your bit. What you now agree with me what I can do, either through meditation, through natural remedies, through going and working with crystal healing, with shamanic medicine and that. I've said I'll go with you, doctor. I'll take this because none of my other network is is saying that they feel they can offer a solution for this bit. Now you work with me and help me with these other things.
Intertwined and in combination, isn't it? See what's needed. And
Yeah.
Carol says, this is our era, Jill. We may be getting on, but people are listening. I think so too, Carol. I saw the same in personal thinking in the world of education. We've seen the loss of care and love, but we will be bringing it back. And like Debbie Evans, another wonderful nurse. Um, Carol, do you want to come and have a chat to Jill? Here's your button. Looking for your button. I found it.
Mute. Hi, I do know Jill really well. So, and I was with her all day
Hi,
yesterday. But
Carol.
hello,
Oh.
Jill. I can't express enough how wonderful it is to hear you saying all these things. Although I know Jill very well and I know her passion, but it is something that we all need to take up the gauntlet with. It really is. Well done, Jill. You're amazing.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Carol. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Does anyone else want to ask Jill a question and speak to her? Do you want to just shake your hand up there? Sandy, if you're unmute there, please.
Is there some way we can start something off, like petitions or something on all this, Jill? When you were talking about bringing the Chinese in, I mean, I'm a great avid believer in all that as well, let alone all the herbs and the things that we practice here in this house as well. But as you say, how do we get it out there? As much as what we all do and we talk to people, it's still trying to get it to work. And I do know that with lots of things going on in the world, there are a lot of changes taking place. And I hope that medicine is definitely going to be one of the things because they haven't got the money to do what they want to do anyhow. So
Yeah.
they're going to push us off now where we can pay for that. I thought they had started to allow a little bit of holistic in the hospitals, had they not, Jill? Have I got that wrong?
Yeah, in some places, Alderhay's one of those. One of the things that you see in hospitals more often now is and it's a really little thing, and it sounds really strange, but therapy dogs coming in, and and just by getting, if you can in your network, if you're at hospital, if you can just get one person to change one thing and then get it rippled down. So I've and the other thing is about talking about it. We talk in the circles and spiritual network that actually, as you said, I think that actually people will think you're barking mad. We don't speak out enough. When we start speaking out, and then other people feel confident to speak out. So Dorothy and I worked in a traditional GP practice, and it was one day, it was Dorothy having the conversation and just being brave enough to talk about her doing her witchery things, where this other person said, well, I do that, but I'm sort of a bit worried about talking about it. And then
Oh,
they started
lovely.
sharing experiences. And then Liz, the doctor, so she talks to Liz, and then suddenly we've got Liz coming into us saying, what is it you do, and how do you do it, and what's this with the crystals and things like that. And I think, as Carol said, this is now our era, and I think we were all in this place at this time for a reason. I I I didn't even know about the College of Natural Medicine, and my friend Annie said, can you come along and help with the vitamin B12, which is another whole hour's discussion and
Like to
things.
hear more
And
about that,
yeah,
yeah.
and
Mm.
the vaccine injured people, and the way we treat older people, particularly around dementia, all of those things. And I went along there to help a friend out to do some vitamin B12 injections and to talk about that. And I've ended up here talking on this podcast because of talking to other people. And the more that, if we are able to start doing events like Trudy did yesterday, even if they're small, like the college did, using the podcast. So actually we're not a load of, and I'll just talk for myself, batty old women. We actually do know how to use a computer. We can talk on a podcast. I'm now being taught by my darling young friend Daisy. I'm going to be taught how to do a blog, and she's going to get me blogging. God help us
That's
all,
good.
is all I can
Good,
say.
good. Well,
Is
I
Yeah,
will look forward to that, Jill, and do share
yeah.
it when you get going, and I'll put
Yeah,
it out there
so if
myself.
we all, yeah, and so if we all do that, and I've been telling people about what you do, if we each tell other people about other people and what they do, then it's going to be like that ripple effect, and sooner or later it will be us that have got the power being given to individuals, and they have the power, and it's taken away from the people in the suits and in the white coats and with the stethoscopes around them and with the pill pots.
Sounds fantastic. So, Jill, we have come to the top of the hour here, and can you tell us a bit more about how to get in contact with you? And you have patients to people is your website. Is that right? Patients to people.
It is, yeah, patients to people with a number two. So it's patients number two people.co.uk. Can contact us that way. It's we've got, you can telephone. I'm quite happy for the telephone number to go out, and we can form some WeChat groups. Some WhatsApp. I'm in Chinese mind now.
Yep.
Some WhatsApp groups of
WhatsApp group. Yeah.
interested people, and what we can do is just start introducing it and rolling things out. And if every one of us just took on one person that we've come to know that we can introduce to another person. So me with you, I've already been telling people about you and what you do. As far as I know what you do, I talk about Trudy and our kitchen witchery and all of that type of thing. If each of us do that, then the networks are going to grow, and they're going to grow quickly. And it becomes, then I'm trying to think of what it is. It grows organically, but it's society changing, and it's not being top down driven. It's
Absolutely.
organic. It's growing up.
And I feel this surge, exactly what you're talking about, that people are waking up and they're starting to question, say, well, I don't really want that. And what's the option? Don't you have an option? You know, looking, and I feel this sort of surge of knowledge coming forward. And Rose says, good for you, Gill. You're a star. Great podcast. You've made a wonderful podcast, and I just love your energy. And I feel we're all vibed up because of you, and really inspired and really moved. I feel very moved for what you've been talking about, and really I feel in that energy of with you, like come on, we can do this, everybody. Fantastic. So I am going to be spreading your this recording far and wide, and put your details of how to get in contact with you. And the patients to people, whereabouts are you based, Gill?
Well, we're based in Essex, but it is a concept, so it's based anywhere basically. And it's not it's something, it's not something that can be taught. It's something that you join.
Perfect. It sounds like exactly the right kind of organic, kind of natural connection, and spread the word kind of a thing. And I think I feel so excited for you, and from my heart, that this is a really wonderful thing. And it looks like everyone else here too is feeling something similar. So Gill, thank you so much. And I'd love to leave the last word to you. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining this podcast. There's lots more coming up, some amazing things. Do have a look at the next ones. And do get in touch with Gill if you want to find out more and be part of her world and what she's talking about. I thoroughly encourage you to. Gill, could you leave us with a last word, or a saying, or a purpose, or a thought? Is that enough time to think?
Okay, so well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it, and just please believe in yourself and be courageous, and be able to support and give your confidence to be able to stand up and say, this is not good enough for me. It's not good enough for me, and it's not good enough for mine, and we need to do it differently.
Thank you so much, Gill. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for those powerful words. And have a wonderful evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on tonight's podcast.
Thank you.
You're welcome.